Riding in any weather conditions, hot, cold, heavy rain and snow. We're gonna discuss all of this in the stream. I'm gonna tell you everything that I know. I've got enough kilometers spent on all of these conditions, hot, cold, heavy rain and snow. And I believe that I can share some valuable information and maybe give you some good advice on all of these different weather conditions. If you decided to travel on a motorcycle, sooner or later you will meet one of these conditions: hot, cold, heavy rain and snow. If you're unlucky enough, you can meet all of this in one day, depends on your destination. But at least you can have combinations like cold weather and rain, or cold weather and snow, or you can have very hot day and then rain. So all of these combinations are mixable. If you have very hot day and then rain, it's like a bliss. But if you have very cold day and rain, it's very, very bad. And if you have cold day and snow, it is even disaster. The first thing that I will tell you or the advice that I can give you right now is, if you have the chance, try to avoid all of these conditions. I know that this advice sounds not so adventurous, but who cares? Do you have anything to prove to anyone? In my opinion, everyone who got the time and possibility and chance to wait should wait in any of these conditions. This is my opinion. I'm not saying that I always did it, but every time when I've got the chance to wait, let's say 2 hours for the weather to improve, the rain to stop or something similar, I did it. A few times in my riding career I haven't got the time and I need to ride in all of these conditions, but they're not pleasure at all. We're gonna discuss everything that I planned here, but the first advice that I can give you is, if you have the chance to wait, just wait. And once again, I'm gonna ask you, do you have anything to prove to someone? Do you really believe that just because you ride in the rain, this will make you a better adventurer? Or if you ride in the snow, you will be a better adventurer? All of these are just bullshits. Yes, it will give you some experience. You will know next time what you expect or how to behave on such a riding conditions, but nothing more than this. So if you have the time, avoid it. If not, at least follow the rules that I'm going to tell you right now. The first, I will start with the rain, because it is one of the weather conditions that you will probably meet the first, the rain. You know, you go out to riding, everything is fine, and then after a few minutes starts rain. So I have heard some people saying that they love to ride in the rain. I always ask these people why. What is good? What is the benefit, or what is the pleasure to ride on the rain? You have poor visibility, not enough traction, twisting, tilting and stopping problems a lot. Might get wet, and you will, if you ride long enough, cannot use the potential of the bike. So all of this are only negatives. I cannot see what is the benefit or what is the pros to ride in the rain, and why some people say that they love to ride on the rain. I really cannot understand all of this. I have no problem riding in the rain, but definitely don't like it, because, as I said, I cannot use the potential of the bike. For example, if on normal riding conditions I choose to go some twisty roads and I plan to ride it with 70, 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, when it rains I have to slow down. I have to be careful on every corner. I have to tilt less than usual. I have to be very gentle with the throttle, very gentle with the brakes. So all the pleasure is just poof, gone. So once again, why some people said that they love to ride in the rain? I love to sleep in the rain, to sleep in my house and to listen the rain outside. This is fantastic experience. I love to enjoy this moment. But to ride a motorcycle in the rain, no. I don't even like to drive a car in the rain, because it takes apart from the pleasure. Anyway, I'm not gonna rant more on this topic, but I honestly cannot understand why people say that. Poacher, no problem. You just missed the beginning. We just start with the rain and discussing why some people said that they love to ride in the rain. So it's not that bad. So once again, when you ride in the rain, you have poor visibility, not enough traction, twisting, tilting and stopping problems. All of this you have to do with cautious. Might get wet, and you will if you ride long enough, because there is no such a thing like a 100% waterproof. 100% waterproof does mean 100% plastic. If you wear something that is 100% plastic, it's not going to be breathable and it's not going to be comfortable. So sooner or later you will get wet. Even if you have the best Gore-Tex suit, it won't last forever. For example, the gear that I've got from Revit, this Dominator GTX, it is 3 layers of Gore-Tex. It is the best possible option that you can find on the market. Maybe there is only one better, this is Climb. But with this jacket I can have like 4 or 5 hours really heavy rain, but after that I already start to feel some dampness here around the neck, here around the wrists. It goes even under my jacket, between the jacket and the pants, and the middle part became wet. Here I became wet, here I became wet, and after a few more hours the water goes everywhere. Even if it's not going anywhere, I start to feel the dampness. And when the weather is cold, when your jacket is so soaked with water, maybe it cannot penetrate the membranes, but it is already soaked with water, and you start to feel the dampness and the cold. But yes, last year I was riding from Slovenia back to UK. It was heavy raining from Munich on all the way to Baden-Baden. Even my underwear was wet. Never again. Yeah, this is what is happening. Even if you have a Gore-Tex jacket and pants, it is the same. Even if you have your rain gear, once again, it is going around your neck, around your wrist, under the rain gear. If you have full suite rain gear, maybe it will protect you better. But anyway, somehow the water always finds its way. So no discussions, and that's why I'll ask again why some people finding pleasure on this. I really cannot understand. So in my opinion, riding in the rain, it is a necessity, not a pleasure. If I have to ride in the rain, I'll do it because it is necessary, because I have no time, or I have to do it, or I have specific schedule, or need to meet some people, or need to be on specific town on specific time. That's why I have to ride on the rain. But otherwise, it is not a pleasure at all. What to do if you have to ride in the rain? And this is the more interesting part. Why some people like it, why don't like it, or whatever, it doesn't matter. But what to do when you have to ride on the rain? First, and very important, put your rain gear before the rain. Do not last until the last moment, because, as I said, nothing lasts forever. Even if you have a Gore-Tex gear, on some stage it will give up. So put your rain gear on before the rain. The rain never coming fast like this. You will see it, you will smell it from a distance. When you ride, you'll see the clouds in very, very far distance, and you will know that it is raining. After that, the temperature will drop. You're gonna see how the clouds are moving. You're gonna see even the rain on the far distance. So you will have more than enough time to stop and put your rain gear on before the rain starts. Because after it starts, after you get wet, when you got wet, it is pointless to put your rain gear on the top, because it will also keep the dampness inside of you. And even if your riding gear is not fully wet, when you close it with the rain gear on the top, all the water will go inside. So put your rain gear before the rain. Second, very important, reduce the speed. As I said, there is nothing to prove. If you ride with 80 kilometers per hour normally, reduce it to 60. If you're on the highway and usually you ride with 120, 30, reduce it to 100. On the highways especially is very important, because the trucks and cars, they're driving very fast, but with the motorcycles it's a little bit different. You might have this aquaplaning, you might have many different problems because of a lack of traction that you're gonna have on the wet surface. So reduce the speed definitely when it starts rains. If the visibility is compromised because of really heavy rain, then you have to stop. There is no reason to ride at all, unless your life depends on that, or you need to save someone from some kind of problems, I don't know. Otherwise you just wait. For example, why I said to reduce the speed. Even if you have a modern motorcycle that got a different riding modes, when you put your motorcycle on a rain mode, it will reduce the speed or the power of your motorcycle with at least 20%. It is made with purpose. It will just give you the chance to ride it slower and maybe to avoid some mistakes. Also, if your motorcycle is equipped with modern systems like traction control and ABS, good. But if you don't have traction control and ABS, everything will depend on your throttle and your brakes. So you're the traction control, you're the ABS system, and all of this need to be done very gently when you ride in the rain. Leave more distance between you and the traffic. This rule I always preach, and you should always go with this rule in mind every time when you ride a motorcycle, not only when it rains, but when you have more distance between you and the traffic, you will have more time for reaction. If someone makes a mistake in the last second, you will be able to react, grab your brakes and eventually stop or make a maneuver to avoid the collision. But if you don't have enough distance, your time for reaction and time for movement are limited and you might have an accident. So always try to keep as much as possible distance, front and back also, and also from the cars around you. Try to keep as small as possible distance always. But when it rains, you have to double it because the brakes now are different. Even if you have an ABS, the ABS cannot make miracles. It will work, it will help you, it will assist you to stop faster without spinning the wheel, without sliding the wheel actually, but the ABS cannot make miracles. Be gentle with the throttle, very gentle. Steady throttle, slowly, because as I said, if you have traction control, good. If you twist too much, the traction will reduce the spinning on the wheel and you will be fine. But if you have old school motorcycle, especially if it's a powerful motorcycle, when you twist the throttle on the wet asphalt, it might spin and you might go down. It happened with me a few times during my riding years, and it's something that I know very well. But sometimes you just get distracted for something, or I don't know why, you just twist a little bit more, the rear will spin and you're on the ground before you even notice it. Be gentle with the throttle, very gentle with the brakes. Very gentle. Even if you have ABS, you have to be very gentle with the brakes. I always advise people, try to ride your motorcycle as you're gonna ride it if you don't have ABS. To trust so much on the ABS is wrong from the beginning. Sometimes it's even good idea to turn off your ABS if you have and ride for a couple of hours in a control conditions to see how you will react or how you will stop without it. Because for many people that get used to the ABS and ride motorcycles with ABS for many years, if they switch to a normal motorcycle without ABS, it's a big problem, believe me. I've seen this a few times with people that ride expensive motorcycles. When they jump on some old cheap models, they have zero control. They cannot stop, they cannot accelerate properly because of the system that made them lazy. So even if you have a ABS, you have to be very gentle with the brakes. If possible, always use the engine brake. At least this is what I do, because my motorcycles, the old Tenere, the new Tenere now is fine, it's got a good brakes, but the old Tenere And the bikes that I've got back in the years, they never got such a good brakes, and they never got ABSs. So I know, I learned this from many years ago, that every time when I need to stop, I always look for solutions, left or right, because I know that in most of the cases I wouldn't be able to stop on time. And because of that, I never ride so fast just to be able to stop. But anyway, back to the topic, very gentle with the brakes, even if you have ABS. And I guess that you already know that, but the first 15 to 30 minutes, depending on that how heavy is the rain, are the most dangerous, because the asphalt is very slippery. When the dust mixed with the water, it became like a very mild mud, and it is very slippery, very easy to go down. As I said, just twist the throttle a little bit more or press the brakes a little bit harder, and you're on the ground. That easy it is. The first 15 to 30 minutes. After that, when the rain washed all of the dust, it became more normal, and you can continue traveling again with cautious, but you don't need to worry that much. Don't tilt the motorcycle too much. I know that on normal riding conditions, you're gonna use the full potential of your motorcycle. You're gonna tilt much, you're gonna have all the corners the way you like it, but when it rains, it's a different story. When it rains, you go to this some kind of survival mode, or the mode that will help you to finish your day if you cannot stop, if you cannot wait. So you have to finish your day or finish your ride. Let's say you're around your town, 20 kilometers away, and suddenly start rains. What you will prefer? To go home as fast as possible as you usually do, or just to slow down and reach your home safely with a normal speed, but safely? Of course the second, because you have nothing to prove. Nothing to prove. Don't tilt the motorcycle too much. Be gentle with the throttle, be gentle with the brakes. Most important is to go back safe in one piece. Always keep in mind that the traction is compromised, especially if you have dual sport tires. This is another thing that you have to have in mind. If you have a normal road or street tires, they hold much better on the rain. But if you have a dual sport tires, especially some models, are not very good on the wet surface, like my Metas 07 Dakar that I've got now. It is okay when the weather is hot, when the asphalt is dry, but they're not so good when it rains, especially when it starts rains. They're very slippery, so I'm honestly very gentle when it rains. So these are the tires that I've got now, and I have to finish it one way or another. And another thing that I would like to point you now, I told you already what you have to do, how to ride with cautious. And one more thing that I would like to tell you is that the rain directions are unpredictable. So some people said that they might avoid the rain. When you see the rain, you might try to avoid it, go left or right or go back or whatever. But the directions of the rain are usually unpredictable. You might think that the rain is coming to your direction, but then you can realize that it's actually go to another direction. So I want to tell you one story. One time I tried to overtake a rain, and I did it for about 500 kilometers. So about 500 kilometers, I was racing with the rain. I said, okay, I need maybe 50 more kilometers and I will be ahead of the rain, and the rain will be behind me and I will be dry. And then I almost done it on 200 kilometers, and then the rain catch me again, and then 300 kilometers and it catch me again. And finally, after 500 kilometers, I was able to go in front of the rain. I won the race. And then I stopped for 15 minutes to eat something, to fill the petrol and stuff like that. And the rain got me back. And then I spent the rest 300 kilometers riding in the rain, which is altogether around 800 kilometers on the rain. I spent 800 kilometers on the rain trying to avoid the rain. So directions are unpredictable. You don't need even to try. And then I was thinking that just because the rain was traveling with me, if I was just stopped for 2 hours, the rain will be far ahead of me and I can travel in much better comfort if I only spend 2 hours waiting somewhere. That's why I said, if you've got the chance just wait, and you might be lucky and avoid rain at all. Okay, that's everything that I wanted to say about the topic rain. Now, before I move to the next topic, which is riding in hot days, I would like to ask if you have any questions on the topic rain, and then we can continue with the hot days. Matthias, do you have any good weather app which is accurate? I use usually Weather Radar. Let me see what was the name of this. I think you can find it in Google Play. I use this radar because it gives not only the forecast, but it also gives this radar around the area that you choose, and you can see basically the rain, what is the next 24 hours of the rain, where it will go, how it will circle. Try to find it on Google Play, or just Google it, Weather Radar. It's very useful. It's work very accurate. Even when sometimes I watch the forecast here on the TV screen, and they say something, but when I check the radar that I got on my telephone, it's always more accurate. All right, let's go to the next topic, which is riding in hot days. Let's make it clear, when I said hot, I mean temperatures over 35 degrees, because for some people might be hot on 20 or 25 or 28. 28 is already hot. But now I'm going to talk about temperatures over 35 degrees. We're going to discuss even over 40, but let's start with over 35 degrees. What to do in such a riding conditions? First, and maybe one of the most important, is to reduce the speed and the RPMs of your motorcycle. Your motorcycle and yourself already work in this hard engine mode. When the temperature outside became 35, your engine worked much harder, your cooling system, your fan worked much harder, the thermostat and all the system work much harder to control, to keep this 90 degrees or 95 degrees in your engine. So if you reduce the speed and the RPMs, this will help significantly to reduce the hard work of your engine. This will give you many benefits. First, it will be for you to ride in more relaxable way, a little bit slower. And secondly, will reduce the RPMs and the torture of your motorcycle, and it will survive for much easier, and will give you, of course, more trouble-free miles, if you understand what I mean. And then the second advice that I can give you is to stop more often. It is necessary for you and for the bike, especially if you have air-cooled bike. If you have air-cooled bike, it is good to stop more often when the temperatures go over 35 degrees, especially if you need to ride in the cities or in heavy traffic, because if you have a water-cooled motorcycle, in the traffic or in the cities, they'll be fine. But if you have an air-cooled motorcycle, in the traffic, you might overheat it. And that's why it will be a good idea to stop more often. You will need it anyway to refresh yourself, to get some drinks, maybe to eat something. If the weather is hot, you'll need to stop more often, but it's also necessary for your motorcycle. If you have ventilation pockets on your riding gear, open all of them. Front, rear, all possible vents, you can open it. It is not good idea to ride a motorcycle without your riding jacket for many reasons. The first is, of course, protection. If you have an accident without the riding jacket and riding pants, you're gonna have many injuries, possible injuries. You might even lose your life. So always ride with your riding jacket and your riding pants. If the temperature is over 30 or 35 degrees, open all possible ventilation pockets. That's why it's very important to have the right gear when the moment comes to go and choose a next riding gear. Make it very carefully. You need a gear with a lot of ventilation pockets, because usually the motorcycles are riding in the summer, and usually you're gonna get the temperatures over 25, 30 or 35 degrees. And when you have a good ventilation, you can still ride with your motorcycle jacket on and still got protection and comfort at the same time. because I have seen people buying the wrong jackets or the wrong pants without any ventilation pockets, and then in the summer they have no options unless they remove the jacket, tie it on the tail of the motorcycle, and ride on t-shirt. First of all, riding on t-shirt, I told you, it's dangerous because you might have an accident. And secondly, when you ride on t-shirt, you dehydrate yourself much faster. First, you're gonna burn from the sun when you ride. Secondly, you're gonna dehydrate yourself much faster, and you're gonna have a problem. It will start with a headache, and then you might even collapse because of the high temperature. You definitely need your riding jacket. When it got a good ventilation pockets, you'll have the airflow go through your body. It will cool you down, and it will work way better than just riding on t-shirt. This is a stupid idea. I know that many people do it, but it is just not a solution at all, especially if you travel, especially when you need to cover many kilometers. If you ride just from your home to the local coffee, or just for 30 minutes ride, it's fine. You're not gonna burn from the sun, you're not gonna dehydrate yourself, but when you need to spend the whole day riding, it's just ridiculous. It's not possible at all. So open all the vents, front and rear. And this is another point that I would like to mention. When you're about to buy a new riding gear, this is very important to learn. Always try to find a gear that got two ventilation pockets or vents. Front, that the air comes, and rear, where the air actually goes. It is the same with the sleeves. If you have air ventilation pockets from here, it's good to have the same on the back or on your trousers. When you have pockets in front of the trousers go in, you should have exhaust vents out to leave the air to go out. Otherwise, the ventilation is not that good, and the gear is not going to work that well in the hot days. Next, drink a lot of water. You definitely need a hydration pack. Definitely. Without hydration pack in the hot days, it's going to be very difficult, almost impossible to do it. So you definitely need a hydration pack. Wet your t-shirt and put your riding jacket on. Yes, this is the next one that I'm gonna tell you, but when the temperatures goes over 40 degrees. For 30, 35, you don't need to do it. You can keep this as a last resort, Matthias. Thank you for adding, but I'm gonna discuss this a little bit later. So drink a lot of water and take a hydration pack with you. Without hydration pack, you can drink water every time when you stop, but when the temperature is over 30-35 degrees, you need to ride more than once per hour or once per 2 hours, whatever schedules you use to stop. So definitely drink a lot of water and take hydration pack with you. Something very important, these are the electrolytes, or at least salt, very, very important. If you drink today 5 liters of water, and you're probably not going to pee at all because of the hot weather, everything will go through when you're sweating, all the water will go through the sweating. So you will lose a lot of the important electrolytes that you've got in your body. This is like magnesium, natrium, and all of this potassium, they all will go through the sweating process. And you need to refill it back, or you're gonna have a problem, big problem. So take some electrolyte tablets with you, or at least some salt. A pinch of salt in your mouth will solve a lot of problems. I always got a small packets on my pockets if it became so hot, and I start to drink a lot of water, and the more you drink, the more you want to drink, and the more you're sweating, and it became even worse problem. 2 years ago in Turkey, it was a situation like this. I drank a lot of water. I wanted more and more and more. I start to feel not so good, so I stopped on the first petrol station. I haven't got anything with me, and I asked the lady, can I have a pack of salt? And she was not understanding salt. I said, salt, pack of salt. So I spent like 5 minutes to explain her to give me a pack of salt, and she couldn't understand why the hell I will need salt, because I was not planning to eat. So finally she brought me a pack of salt and was watching on me like this. So I opened the salt and put it in my mouth and got some water, and she started to look on me even more confused. But this is a simple solution that that can easily fix many of the problems that you might have because of this losing the electrolytes. Anyway, and now when it becomes over 40 degrees, as Matthias already said, there are a few solutions that you can make. First is to ride in the mornings and in the evenings. This is very important. For example, in Turkey, 2 years ago, when I went to South Turkey, the temperature rose so badly that in the afternoons became like 45 degrees. So it was not possible at all to ride, or it is possible, but it is not pleasure at all, and it's very hard. That's why I usually start riding every day, like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was already light, so I was started riding around 5 o'clock in the morning, and I finished the ride usually around 1 in the afternoon. And then I usually spend the whole afternoon in the hotel, in the air conditioning, and then go out and walk after 7 or 8 in the evening. So this is one of the options that you can use, ride very early in the mornings and in the evenings if it's possible, because in some countries like Australia this is not possible. It is not possible because in Australia you can't ride early morning and later in the evening because of the kangaroos. They are everywhere, they're jumping on the street, and you will risk a lot to have a collision with one of these animals, and in 99% of the cases it will be fatal for you. That's why I said for some countries it's not going to be possible. And now the next advice that Matthias already mentioned is to soak your t-shirt and scarf with cold water. This is what I usually do. I soak my t-shirt and my bonnet or scarf, everything with cold water. Then I put it on my body, and then I got my riding jacket, and then I close all possible vents, everything. I zip the jacket, I close all the vents, I tied the sleeves, I even close my visor. And this wet t-shirt keeps me cold and fresh for at least 30-40 minutes. It's like air conditioning. This system works very well. I tried and I proved it many times. Many times. I used it in Azerbaijan, in Turkmenistan, in Uzbekistan, in Turkey. Every time when I've got a temperature over 40 degrees, I do exactly the same, and it always works. I've done it also in India a few years ago. So this is a fantastic system, and it works without any problems. It is the same if you have a cooling vest that you can buy from Revit and from many other companies. They are an expensive option, but they do exactly the same. You soak them with water, and then you wear them, and they slowly get dry during the ride, but they will give you these precious 30-40 minutes, and then you can repeat the procedure. Stop again, soak the vest or your t-shirt, put the jacket on the top, definitely close all the vents, and you'll be all right. You'll feel it even when you might think that don't the visor, I'm gonna die with a closed visor. No, when the temperature is over 40 degrees, when you open your visor, it's like to open the oven. You feel this so hot, so you will definitely close it. You will want to close it. You will see what I'm talking about. Anyway, in all of these conditions, just a little detour I'm gonna make. In all of these conditions, it's impossible to sleep in the tent. I know this is not related to the topic now, but because many people plan to go and ride in such a riding conditions, in very hot conditions, and they plan to sleep in the tent. This is almost impossible. When you spend the whole day riding on, or at least a few hours riding on the temperatures over 40 degrees, then you'll need a place to cool down. You'll need a shower. You'll need the air conditioning. Otherwise, your body will just explode. You might have a heat stroke, and you might have many more health problems. That's why I said tent, forget about it. You need hotel and air conditioning to cool yourself down. All right, this is on the topic of hot temperature. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Poacher, do you notice any issue with the bike in hot versus cold weather? Yeah, absolutely. On the hot temperature, the bike does not work so well. That's why I told you just a few minutes ago, when the temperature are hot start issues, etc. When the temperature is over 35 degrees, the bike does not work so well. First is because of the cooling system that you have. It needs to work on more frequently. And the second is because when the air is hot, it expands, and when the air expands, so you have your air filter and you have a system that is designed, for example, let's say it's designed to take 1 cubic meter of air for, let's say, 1 minute, and all of this air needs to go to your injection system or your carburetor system and go into the engine. But when the air is hot, it expands, and instead of this 1 cubic, you actually you can get inside only 800 milliliters, and that's why the engine does not work so well. But there are no problems with start issues or something like that. It's only about the power. If your motorcycle produces, for example, 72 horsepower, Tenere 72 horsepower on 20 degrees at 20 degrees temperature, if the temperature rise to 40 degrees, it will be very, very difficult for your Tenere to produce the same horsepower because of the air expansion that I told you. If your Tenere could be difficult to start in very hot weather, it must be something else. It's definitely not the hot weather, or at least this is what I can tell you now. It will definitely feel the lack of power when the weather is hot compared to the cold days, but difficult to start in very hot days. I haven't noticed anything like this on my Tenere. How many kilometers you've got on your Tenere, Poacher? 35,000. Did you change the sparks? Not yet. You did not change the spark plugs yet. Okay, fair enough. So change the spark plugs. Did you notice this issue before, or it started recently? Did you have the same issues with hot weather before, let's say, 20,000 kilometers? My advice is to go and change the spark plugs. Usually the spark plugs need to be changed every maximum 20,000 kilometers. If you read the instructions of the spark plugs or how often they need to be changed. But the problem has been there since new. Always got this problem. I don't know then. But anyway, it's good to change the spark plugs. All right, let's go now to the last point, which is riding in cold days, winter or high altitude, because you might have cold moments even in the summer. For example, if you try to cross the Alps, Carpathy Mountains in Romania, even on Bulgarian passes, even now, we are already the beginning of June, if you go to any of these passes, you're gonna have a different riding conditions. The temperature will be very cold. You might have even snow in many places. That's why I said you can have it in the Alps. For example, if I want to go from Bulgaria, let's say, to Spain or to France, I have to cross the Alps. Even when I cross the Alps, on the top of the passes, if they are open, because some of the passes in Italy, for example, are still not open. They'll be open after 15th of June. There'll be snow, there will be cold moments. Or if you need to go to Carpathy Mountains, if you want to go to Transfăgărășan Pass or Transalpina, you'll have snow on the top. After 2 weeks, they will be probably open. But it is good to know this, that you can have a cold days even in the summer. I'm not going even to discuss other mountains like Himalayan range, Hindu Kush, and many more, which are cold in many days during the year. On my way to Morocco a few years ago, I started from Berlin, Germany. It was, I think it was in May, but around the Alps, when I was crossing the Alps, it was like 0 to 5 degrees, very cold, so I have to dress many layers to pass this section. Again, a few years ago, I planned a trip to Sommelier, France, and I met a big bulk of snow over there. It was, again, I think it was in May, and I met like 2 meters of snow. So you never know. In Switzerland, most of the passes are closed until the middle of June, some of them even until the end of June. It is the same on Norway. So all of these countries, you're gonna see a lot of snow. I even managed to find a snow in Australia a few years ago. In the middle of Australia, I managed to find a snow. And I was riding on one specific route, and I saw a big sign on the road. Road is closed because of snowing. I said, what are you talking about? Snow in Australia? That is just not possible. And I continued riding on this direction. And after a few more kilometers, in the middle of the road was built a big barrier, and it was closed like this. And another one sign, road closed because of snowing. But the level I was, I don't know, something like maybe sea level or a little bit higher. And it was like 25, 20, 22, 25 degrees. It was just a normal riding day. I couldn't believe that I will have a snow. The road was going over a small mountain, not that high, probably something like 1,000 meters. So I went around this barrier, overtake it from the side, and went inside and spent the next 1 hour riding. It was like 50, 60 kilometers ride. And then when I almost reached the top, I saw a few small patches of sand, of snow, but on the side on the road, not on the road, just on the side. And I said to myself, oh, okay, they locked the road and blocked the road just because of this sand on the side, on the grass. I said, oh, what a bullshit. And then I continued traveling about 10 kilometers, and then I saw the first patch of snow on the road, but it was nothing, just like this, and it was just few meters. So I went over it. I said, okay, these idiots closed just because of that. And I continued more 10 kilometers, and then I saw another one, much deeper, maybe like 15 centimeters snow, and it was like 100 meters. So I need even to stop and push the motorcycle, walk next to it, because I've got this street tires, Continental TKC 70, and they were sleeping so badly. So I need to stay next to the bike and push it on the first gear and slowly release the clutch and moving through this patch of snow. And when I move it, it was again clean asphalt, and I said, okay, fair enough, this is okay. And I spent more like 5-6 kilometers just to find another one patch of snow, but this time was really bad. It was like a half meter from the ground. And then I walked for about 20-30 meters, and it was continuing uphill, and I couldn't see it until then. And then I said, okay, my friend, now you played long enough. Now you jump on your motorcycle and ride back like 70 kilometers just because you're an idiot. People put a sign over there, don't cross because of snowing, but because I'm a Bulgarian, I know everything. I just need to try it. I tried, but I couldn't make it. Anyway, when I went down there, I found one place to sleep, and I asked the owner, what is the situation with this road? Why there is a snow there? And I couldn't believe that I'm gonna have a snow in Australia. And he said, oh, this is a private road. They never clean it. Never clean it during the winter. That's why it's closed. It's always closed. I said, okay, good to know. Next time I will read the sign and will be more careful. But anyway, you can find snow everywhere. So I told you, I found snow even in Australia. I've got a cold ride in India around 0 degrees. This is North India, Ladakh. I spent like few days riding on these temperatures, and I was not really ready for such a weather. I haven't got heated grips, and I'm freezing like a crazy for many hours. So I will remember these days for many years. I even got a flat tire. You probably know the story. I even got a flat tire on 5,000 meters on around 5 degrees Celsius. So you never know when you're gonna find cold places. I've got very cold days on North Pakistan as well. I've got black ice in New Zealand. It happens even on plus temperatures. Black ice is something very dangerous that you can't really see it if you're riding in a civilized country like in Europe. They will inform you. There will be a signs almost everywhere, black ice, be careful, black ice. They will put this red triangle on the road, and you'll be informed, and you'll be able to slow down or just make it more cautious. But if you're riding in some remote area, you might be surprised really nicely. So every time when the temperatures are 5 degrees or below, you have to be ready to have black ice. And black ice usually is happening on the shadow. So when you have a nice road going through the forest like this, twisty road, and then you have a sunny part and then shadow part, every time when you go from sunny to shadow, I will advise just to slow down and to see how it is, because It is not visible. It looks exactly like normal asphalt, like wet asphalt, but once you go into it, then you feel the motorcycle start to dance, and there is nothing you can do at that moment. So black ice is also something very, very dangerous, and you can't really avoid it unless you slow down. Even if you cannot control the bike, and if you go down, at least you will do it with a lower speed, because it is one story to lose control with 100 kilometers per hour. It is another with 50 kilometers per hour. I don't need to explain you the difference. Anyway, I want to show you, to tell you a quick story about my trip to Bulgaria in the winter. It happened a few years ago. It was the moment when I need to cross a lot of very bad weather conditions, a lot of snow. I did not actually plan this trip during the winter, during the snow. As I said in the beginning of the video, if you have the chance to avoid all of these conditions, just do it. So when I planned my trip to go to Bulgaria, I've got the free time, I've got the money and everything. I've got this time schedule of week or more to go to Bulgaria and come back. And the weather in Berlin was like 15 degrees Celsius. I said, all good. I packed everything and prepared to go. And just before I go to bed, I checked the forecast. And the forecast said that on the next day is going to be 4 to 5 degrees. The temperature will drop significantly. I said, okay, now I'm ready to go. Everything is ready, 4 or 5 degrees. Yeah, it will be cold, but I will gonna dress myself very well and I will ride it, because I already decided and I already got this time schedule. On the next morning I woke up and it was really 5 degrees. I start riding, I dress many layers on myself and I start riding, and as soon as I left Berlin it became like 2 degrees. And when I approach Czech Republic, Prague, it became like 0 degrees and starts snowing. And then around Bratislava it was so badly that I need to stop. I just need to stop because it was start snowing very, very badly. The whole highway start with the rain, then would mix with snow, then became like snowy and rainy, like muddy conditions, terrible conditions. It was very, very difficult and dangerous to ride in these conditions. And just for example, when I was riding on that conditions and I was approaching a guy with a car, for example, because I can see them through the window, the guy with the car was sitting like this, for example, driving his car. I can see the cup of coffee stay here, and he was driving the car, drinking coffee, and then he looked on me like this. And when he see that it's a guy with a motorcycle, his reaction was like, yeah? And he was like, oh, like this. And I was freezing to death, just going to survive this section to the next petrol station to stop and warm myself. This is not a pleasure at all. Then I stuck in Bratislava for 1 day. Then I managed to reach Romania, and then I stuck for 2 days in Romania because all the roads were closed, and then I cleaned the roads but partly, and it was just a torture to go to Bulgaria. And when some people ask me why did you do it, because I didn't know what will be. I did not expect such a weather, and I was already in the middle of the road when the rain and snow starts. So I have no chance to go back, because back in Berlin was even worse. And I was believing that when I'm going more south, it will be better. That's why I continue moving. But if I knew just a 50% of the forecast, I will never start traveling. That's why I said in the beginning, if you have the chance, just avoid it. And when I come back, I have everything on videos. You probably watch it. Anyway, when I come back, one guy contacted me maybe a few months after that. He was from France, and he said that he's got plans to travel from France to Norway in the winter. I think it was in November or something like that. And he asked me what kind of winter tires I can recommend to him for his journey. And I said, the only recommendation that I can give you now is just don't go anywhere. Winter is not a proper time for traveling with a motorcycle, especially on direction Norway. It is just maybe the fastest way to have an accident. And he said, no, I would like to do it. It will be adventure. No, not many people do it. That's why I would like to have this adventure. I said, well, not many people are doing this because it is just stupid. It is not a normal way of traveling. My advice is don't do it, but if you still want to go, just go. I cannot recommend any winter tires because there are no winter tires for motorcycles. There are some winter options for scooters, but not for travel motorcycles. Anyway, and we finished the discussion, and 1 or 2 weeks later he wrote me back again and he said, well, you was right. I said, I was right for what? And he said, well, I slept on the road, I broke my collarbone, my arm, motorcycle is damaged really badly. I should have listened to you. So this is not a proper time to ride a motorcycle. If you can avoid it, avoid it. But if there is no other way, if you don't have any option, or if for some reason you became in the middle of the snow on cold days, at least you can follow some of the recommendations that I can give you. As I said, if you have the chance, avoid it. But if you have to ride it, okay. Few of the things that you can do are very similar to the things when you have to do when you ride on the rain. First is keep a steady throttle. Once you find the position of your throttle when the motorcycle is moving without spinning the wheel, just keep it steady. If you have a traction control, you might need to turn it off because it won't let you do even 1 meter. It will always off your wheel and you wouldn't be able to spin the wheel, which means you wouldn't be able to travel at all. So you might need to turn off your traction control and keep a steady throttle. So when I was crossing, for example, on that trip, the mountains in Serbia on the way back, I've got one section with, let's say, like 5-10 kilometers with not much snow on the road. It was like maybe 2 centimeters, but everywhere. I couldn't find a spot without snow, so I have to ride on the snow. And when I got to one position where the wheel was moving without spinning, I was afraid to twist even a centimeter more or less, because if I twist more, the rear will start spin. If I twist less, the front will dive deep. So when I found the proper throttle position, I just kept it without moving, like pum 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 pum, slowly going into the top. So this is very important. Keep a steady throttle. And dual sport tires actually works on these conditions. A normal street tires spin a lot, but dual sport tires, I was there with a TKC 80 and they worked really well. I don't think that I will be able to do all of this on a normal tires, but TKC 80 on this snow, they worked really well. Of course, slowly, gently, with steady throttle. And then brakes are the last option. So you have to use the engine brakes always. Press the brakes only if it's really necessary, very gently, very slowly, because any hard pressure on the front brake will put you down. On the rear, it will slide. It will give you, at least the rear will give you the chance to react, maybe to straighten the motorcycle or do something, but the front will put you down immediately. If you have ABS, it might save your life. It might help you, not completely, but at least partly. I hope it will help you if you need to. And keep your feet on the pegs, not on the ground, on the pegs. I know that for many of you, this might sound like a ridiculous advice, but when you keep your foot on the pegs, you have a better control. If you have your feet on the ground, you start to touching the ground like this, and if you go on the ground with your feet like this, without you even wanted, you start to moving your handlebar and you're totally losing control. So keep your feet on the pegs and try to balance on the bike with the handlebar and with the throttle. When you're losing the balance, put a little bit more throttle, and this is the best way to do it. It is exactly the same like to ride in the sun. You need balance, so you need your feet to be on the pegs and you need to keep the motorcycle moving. The fronts need to be lighter to keep moving. The next point that I would like to discuss in the until we're on the topic with the cold is to dress in different layers. This is the only solution that I have found that helped me to go through these temperatures. Keep in mind that in some of the days I need to ride to -12 degrees. On minus 12 degrees. On minus 12 degrees, there is no any riding gear that you can buy on the market today that will help you and keep you warm on these temperatures. You need definitely many layers. So what I did is I've got my warm underwear, and then I've got warm linings on the top, the linings of the riding gear. Then I've got a riding gear on the top of everything, and on the top of the riding gear I've got my rain gear. So altogether like 4 different layers, and these 4 different layers were able to keep me warm for at least 1 hour. Heated grips are must. Without heated grips you cannot ride on such a temperatures. It's impossible. Even if you have very thick winter gloves, your hands will freeze without heated grips. If you have heated seat, heated vest, heated gloves, heated boots, whatever you have, they will help you a lot. But as a minimum, you'll need a heated grips. Without heated grips, it just will be impossible. During my trip, I got my heated grips. I also got another one budget solution, which was I've got one hydration pack that I don't use, and I fill it with the hot water. So every time when I stop on the petrol station to get warm, to relax, or to put some petrol or to eat something, I was filling this hydration pack with hot water, really hot water. If they don't have it in the toilets, I ask them to get a warm water, to give me hot water from the tea machine, from coffee machine. And when I fill it with hot water, I kept it here on my chest, because it's flat, it's like hydration pack. I kept it on my chest, and when I have it here and close all the zips and all the vents and rain gear on the top, it kept me warm for at least, as I said, 1 hour, because it's make this part of the body warm. And then heated grips are here, and the blood was circulating like that, and I feel very good. The only problem was with my feet, because my feet get really cold after 1 hour, even though I've got 2 pairs of socks and a plastic bag between. So I have 1 pair of socks, and then I've got a plastic bag and second pair of socks. The plastic bag really isolates well. It does not breathe, but I don't need any breathing moments when the weather is cold. So 2 layers of socks with plastic bag underneath. Handlebar mitts work well to keep hands warm. Yeah, absolutely, they work well. The problem is that they're very big, and if you only need to cross, let's say, one mountain, the rest of the time on your trip you have to find a place to keep it. But yes, they work well. But in my opinion, heated grips will be just more than enough to cross a specific section. If you really need to ride for many days in the winter, then mitts will be a better solution, or some kind of heated seat, heated vest, heated gloves. Heated gloves also work very well because they warm you from everywhere. But as a minimum, you'll need a heated grips. Hydration pack, I already told you, for hot water in my chest. The only problem, as I said, are cold feet. I have heard some options about heated boots. I haven't seen so far, but I know that you can find some options on internet. And again, stop more often. It is very obvious. You have to stop one way or another, because it is just impossible to ride for many hours. I did it on every 30-40 minutes or maximum 1 hour, because I had to, because of cold feet. I need to walk around, warm my feet. It was just impossible to ride without it. And also checking the weather conditions always. So if you have an app that we discussed earlier, check the weather conditions, see what is the forecast. If the weather became even worse, better is to stop and wait a little bit. Or you might just change your route a little bit to avoid the cold sections if you are able to check the weather conditions. But in any situation, always try to play it safe, always. Because, as I said thousands of times, the most important is to continue traveling, to finish your trip and come back home safe in one piece. There is nothing to prove. So final conclusion, before I give you some time for questions. As I said in the beginning, if you have a chance to avoid all of these riding conditions, cold, hot, heavy rain, black ice or whatever, do it. if you don't have this chance, if you really don't have any time, or your budget not allow you, or you're on hurry, then do it, travel, but try to follow all of the rules that I already told you. And the most important of everything is just to be a little bit more thoughtful. There is nothing to prove. You are not on hurry. There are no people behind every corner with a counter to check what is your time, and everything depends on you. So your destiny, your safety, everything depends on you. That's everything that I plan to tell you today, guys. I hope that this information will be useful to you, and maybe for some people that plan to watch the stream after that. Now, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to reply, of course, if I know the answers. So go ahead if you want to ask me something. Maybe I explain everything, maybe you're too shy, or maybe you'll have the questions later, who knows. Do you expect Russia to be extreme in weather? No, Poacher, I do not expect any extreme weather conditions. I've been to Siberia before in July and August, the weather that I'm going to be there. I don't think that I will have temperatures before 15 degrees. I will bet that it will be around 20 or 25, which is the perfect temperature to ride a motorcycle. So yeah, no, I do not expect any bad weather. I expect a lot of rain, but definitely not a cold days. Very good stream and very informative. Thank you very much, Matthias. Thank you. Gordon, you can buy heated motorcycle boots insoles. Yes, I have heard about this as well. The problem is that too many heated gadgets finally might finish with flat battery, but it's a definitely solution when you need to ride in the cold. The midges will be bad in Scotland in summer. They are terrible. Oh yeah, tell me about it. I've been to Siberia before. I know what they are. I know how bad they are. But yeah, I have a mesh that I can keep on my head. And yeah, I know what it is. I've been to Siberia before. One of the times I was in deep Siberia, where Yakutsk is even more. And it was so bad that they were biting even through the mesh, through the gloves that I've got. But it is what it is. It is part of the game. Poacher, how do you keep from being eaten alive? Good question. You cannot. The Russians over there, when I was in Siberia, the Russians over there told me, stop fighting. After 2 days, you will give up. I said, I'm not going to give up on all of these midgets and mosquitoes. I'm going to fight all of them. And he said, you will give up. And honestly, after 2 days, I just gave up. I said, that's it. They won. And also, especially about the mosquitoes, I brought with me a repellent for mosquitoes, but they're from Europe, and it does not work at all. I was spraying myself, and then I saw that mosquitoes and midges, they're going like on perfumes, they're sticking together. It was terrible. And then the Russian guy gave me something which was a liquid with very dark brown color, and when you put just a few drops here, and like a perfume actually, and then I can see how the mosquitoes are coming and go, and it lasts like 2 hours. That's why it's always good when you buy a repellent for mosquitoes or midges, always to buy locally, because they have the best options. This international bullshit, they usually doesn't work well. Yeah, the mosquitoes will be a problem, maybe a lot of rain. I hope that I will be there after the raining season, but I still I know that I'll still get a lot of rain and mud. The problem in this part of the world is that when it starts rain, you just need to wait. You can't travel in this mud. I rock with diesel and it works sometimes. Yeah, might be solution. I never tried, but might work. If you smoke cigarettes, somehow keep them away for a while, but not all the time, not always. Especially some people got a different blood, and the blood taste is different for the mosquitoes. It depends on that what kind of blood you have. But anyway, I know it's going to be hard. Yeah, regarding to my trip now, when I start here, my pleasure, Gordon, my pleasure. When I start here from Varna, it will be at the end of June, so it will be probably around 28-30 degrees, and it will be hot, and then when I go north I hope it will be a little bit better, but you never know. So as I said, on my trip now I expect temperatures between 20 and 30, maximum 35 degrees. That's it. It will be all right. Okay guys, thank you very much for visiting the stream. Thank you very much for the questions, for the time that you spent here. Once again, I apologize for the delay, but I was busy here with some family works. So next week on the 11th of June, I'll be here again on the usual time, 8 o'clock East European time. I don't know the topic yet, but I'm gonna find something. All right, I'm gonna end it here. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.